Cool. Audio is also rolling. So, hello everybody. Welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name is Suj.
And my name is James.
End of Gameweek 35. 3 weeks left, and I have 3 chips left. So, I'm in a weird place, James. I feel like
yes, you are.
It's It feels like end of term. Like the last 2-3 days of school where you do fuck all because
I was going to say, holidays. Yeah, so what, you're just going to do fuck all with your team?
No, I'm not. Because I think, I had a green arrow this week and...
Do you want a party popper?
So I think, based on the start of the game week, mate, wait till we give you a party poppy for your wildcard. I can finish with a 5-figure rank, like top 100k now, with 3 chips in 3 weeks. But also my moves are kind of like I know what I'm doing at a very there's not a lot of thinking and tinkering left now. I literally
it's for a lot of other people.
So end of term feel, man. It feels like end of school.
Okay, so tell us about this great game week you had.
Well, I didn't waste my wild card like some. So I ended up on I'm in my minus 56 team, James.
I'm sure that's got look,
I ended up on 47 points.
And that got you a party popping green arrow.
It got me a green arrow, mate. So the thing is on Saturday, I didn't have many players. I had Liverpool to start with.
My game week rank was about 25,000 on Saturday night because I had nothing on Sunday. Exactly.
So this is a classic example of a game week where wait till it's finished before you judge how it's happened.
Oh yeah, I wasn't tweeting. Look at me.
My game week on started with no Salah, no Trent.
Yep.
Salah captain, Trent vice. So at that point, it's literally switch phone off and don't worry about FPL until Monday.
Yeah.
But I did check in and whatever else. Look, I got Robertson's points, which was tidy. And Salah did come on, so it wasn't like it was nothing.
He easily could have scored as well, by the way.
Yeah, I know. So it is what it is. Like I wasn't ever panicked about it, and I knew that he would be the most highly captained player in the game as well. So realistically, fine. It is what it is. Went through all of the 3:00 games. So Ollie Watkins scored for you. I was like, this is good for James on his wild card. Ollie Watkins scores for you. Matty Cash with a clean sheet as well. Your wild card's coming in nicely at the moment. Leeds 0, Man City 4. That was a boxing match, throwing punches if ever I've seen one. But again, Foden coming in with the assist for you. Thinking, James is going to slap me on wildcard this week. I ended day 1 on 13 points, maybe, I feel like. Which is, at this point...
I was on 48.
Yeah,
I was on more than what you finished with on Saturday night.
At this point, I'm like, Tuesday's pod's going to be mad because obviously you've cleaned up on wildcard. But keep the faith because I've still got Kulusevski on Sunday. I've got triple Chelsea on Sunday. I've still got David De Gea to go. And I had Martinelli as well. Ends up with Martinelli picks up an assist, Kulusevski picks up 2, David De Gea picks up a clean sheet. Richarlison, I had scores, and the Chelsea players get 3 points between the 3 of the bastards, Havertz, Mount and Rudiger. But pushed me up to 47. So to come out 47, not having used my wild card, ending day 1 on 13 points with both my captain and vice captain being benched, and get a green arrow. I am party popping, mate, because it's turned around over the course of 2 days when it looked like it could be pretty disastrous. I have a specific strategy now, which means I'm using a chip every week until the end of the season.
So you are bench boost wildcard free hit, would that be correct?
Yes, because you want me to wildcard before I free hit, and I
think you should wildcard before you free hit, just from a value perspective, that's all.
And so, yeah, I mean, it is one of those where it could have ended up after day 1 where I'm looking at it and just regretting not wildcarding, because the reality is with 2 chips to play, bench boost and free hit, you have to look at the combined score of the week you wildcard plus the week that you bench boost plus an other week if you've used your wildcard, rather than looking at an isolation of 1 week, which is hopefully where, like, obviously you started so well and it's then kind of flattened off, but you still got. I'm assuming you got.
But I knew
Green Arrow.
my Sunday was going to be horrendous because I didn't
No
have
players.
any Tottenham or Chelsea, right?
No,
So
and well, Chelsea didn't really particularly matter, did it?
listen, there was nothing wrong with my Sunday, mate.
Yeah, of course.
Other than your team not doing the business.
We tried, mate. We tried.
Didn't try hard enough.
Well, look, you lot need to worry about winning your own games rather than worrying about everybody else.
Well, we
doing
did
you
this
favours.
weekend, first of all.
Yeah.
So what you going to do now then? So it's bench boost this week. Well, what are you doing with the likes of David De Gea for this bench boost?
I literally have an entire team of doublers bar 2 players.
Okay, so what's happening?
David De Gea.
Yeah.
Benjamin Janson. David De Gea will go to Schmeichel.
Okay.
And it's a real toss-up between Schmeichel and Pickford because both have got doubles. But I think I prefer Schmeichel's this week. And because I can wildcard in the week after, I can go to Pickford the week after. So really, it's looking at it for 1 week. And I think Schmeichel definitely has the better double. With Norwich as the second game at home.
Agreed.
And they play each other, don't they? Everton. But it's home for Schmeichel. So I'm going to go Schmeichel. And then Ben Johnson, I have enough money to go to Cash. And I think Matty Cash will be my move. And I'll be lined up with 15 doublers.
That your best option defensively this week?
5.6
Liverpool
million.
in the second game.
5.6 million. I like the likes of Matip, but I can't afford. I can't get a fourth Liverpool player. The game won't allow me.
No,
to.
you can't get any City with that, can
I
you?
could get Gabriel if you like Arsenal, but that's too different. I don't fancy particularly Matty Cash over Gabriel. Or I could get one of the Spurs boys, but I don't particularly fancy one of the Spurs boys.
1
with
week,
Liverpool and
maybe
Arsenal.
like Sionchur as a punt if he doesn't play Thursday night.
Not
maybe
doubling up on Leicester defensively.
I hear you.
I feel like Matty Cash has got the attacking potential, and it covers me off. He's a bench boost, right? So 1 clean sheet out of the 2, I'll take it.
Yeah, if you get it.
Yeah. I mean,
So is this -4 or is it?
Yeah, it's a
-4.
-4. And then off we go. I'm locked and loaded for the double game. Look, 30 fixtures.
Who's your forwards? I know you got Richarlison. Who's your other 2?
Pookie and Emmanuel Dennis.
Oh, fire! Yeah.
But it's bench boost, right? So,
Yeah, it's fine.
do you know what I mean? Is it Cash, Dennis, Pookie, Foster for my bench boost? Perfectly fine. Triple Chelsea, triple Liverpool, and then I've got a sprinkling of other.
You got 3 Chelsea players. You think they're playing twice?
No.
You think they're playing once?
Yeah, between the 3 of them, they definitely get 1 game each. It's Mount, Rudiger, who are the most picked above probably Mendy. If you look for minutes, I'm sure Rudiger and Mount would be the second 2 in the Chelsea lineup. And also, they can't keep doing. You don't want to go into the FA Cup final on the momentum of losing as many games as they have. I mean, they scraped over the line against us. They dominated without being particularly great against Everton. They need to get back to winning ways, Chelsea, because they can't go into the cup final with that kind of couldn't be fucked attitude. They're going to get battered by Liverpool. They'll probably get battered anyway, but still.
They will. By the way, I saw Chelsea wore their lucky yellow kit on Wednesday. Yeah, people can stop talking about that stupidity now. They will beat Wolves with their eyes closed on Saturday, mate.
Based on Wolves' performance against Brighton. So, yeah, I mean, I'm cool with Chelsea tripling up on them at the moment.
And
they need to get some rhythm for that cup final. It's their biggest game.
So there's a few people saying, well, if Chelsea still need the result against Leeds next week, maybe these guys will play twice. I think they're probably only playing twice if they fuck up the first game. They ain't going to fuck up the first game. So what you've still got with the likes of, and I know you don't have these players, but particularly like Alonso and Reece James, where a lot of other people got. Kind of whatever. These guys are probably going to play on Saturday, but I mean particularly the defensive guys like Alonso and James. That's probably a clean sheet and they can haul in the 1 game. And I'd just be a little bit cautious of that. I see a lot of people, I want to go James to a Man City defender, which a Man City defender guaranteed to play twice. Well, I don't think he is. So I'd just be a little bit cautious of that because I think particularly those 2 Chelsea wing-backs will probably both start the Wolves game and can still haul in that 1 single fixture. So just bear that in mind. We get blinded, don't we? The desperation to have the double. Yeah. When you've got someone like Ben Johnson this week, yes, you can look at it and go, okay, it's Norwich away. does even play as well, though. That's
Well,
a different kind of problem, isn't it? So, of course, you want to move that on despite the on-paper good fixtures.
It's literally 1 week. I'm working week to week now, James. Like, I only have to make decisions that are reliant on this week. And then next week it's wildcard, and then next week is free hit. So now I'm in a literally week to week. I think Matty Cash is the best option for me. But a bit of attacking potential, maybe a bit of clean sheet potential. So Matty Cash in, Schmeichel in, and we go.
Okay, good luck. So I did wildcards, 53 points for myself. I was on the wrong side, I think, of minimal decisions. So I went Salah captain. Basically, the final choice I went for, and this sounds ridiculous, the way it fell out, was basically to go with Salah, Foden and Trent, or go Van Dijk, De Bruyne and Son. Obviously, captain Son. In fairness, I wouldn't have captained Heung-Min Son. I would have captained Coutinho if I'd gone down the other route. That's a couple more points than Salah, obviously. Obviously, would have had Son's points. And the fact that De Bruyne didn't get on at all meant I could have had Richarlison's points off the bench as well.
Yeah.
So actually, that small little decision actually cost me sort of 25, 30 points or so. That's the way it goes. It's fine.
I mean, I sold Sonny 2 weeks ago so I could get Havertz in for their doubles and all the rest of it. Like, everybody, I mean, he's so consistent, Sonny. I even saw someone tweeting, would he get reclassified next year as a forward? It wouldn't surprise me.
He won't.
Yeah, but if it happened, it wouldn't surprise me.
All these wide players are going to stay as wide players. Let's just kill that debate now.
Yeah.
Listen, I've gone without Son and he's still done the business. Trust me, no one was shouting goal louder than me when he scored his first goal, particularly on Sunday. So I went treble Villa. I got 6 points per out in between the three of them. Coutinho disappointing, but 6 cash, 9 Watkins. I went 3 City, so I added Laporte and Foden. They've both picked me up 15 points or so. I picked Foster in goal, which was nearly looking like a haul. Shout out to our mate Ross, FPL Raptor. He's jinxed it. I'm only joking, buddy. Obviously, no show from Trent. I got Richarlison Gordon ready for the double. So, I mean, as it stands now, and look, got to get through these European fixtures, but I'm intending to roll. My bench boost is set, ready to go. And then I make 2 transfers, or maybe even 3 going into 37 before a final game free hit. So, I'm comfortable. If I don't get an injury this week, I'll log out. I'm not doing anything.
Yep. Nice. Tidy. And of course, we'll be reviewing where we're at towards the end of the week, because there are 4 European games affecting English clubs this week. I mean, West Ham doesn't really matter because no one's looking to buy them. But Leicester, obviously, people might be looking at because of the double. And then City being and Liverpool being the premiums that have got a double next week as well. So they need to get through these European games first, and then we can kind of take a look at where we're at with them. Information
this week is far more important, guys. Is what you're doing now is searching for the value. I mean, I can understand it a little bit if it's the 0.1 swing and you literally can't afford the move you want to make, but really wait. Someone will get injured, or something will happen in these European fixtures this week that will change an opinion. For example, I'll give you a perfect case in point. I've got Andy Robertson. A lot of other people have Andy Robertson at the moment. You're looking at in the face of it. Have you seen Klopp's comments after the game?
No.
Basically said he wanted to rest him, but felt obviously leaving like Trent out
and Salah.
And he'd obviously changed Konate from the Champions League game and say it was like one too many. So he played Robertson. So he basically indicated and said, look, Robertson's in for a rest, basically. Robertson might get that against Villarreal tonight, right? Mm-hmm. If he does, great, gold. If he doesn't, I suspect he probably plays Tottenham Saturday and probably Shimmercast will play against Villa.
Yep.
And then you think, do I move that on? Well, no, the reality is it's the same as kind of what I was saying with the Chelsea players. They can still haul in the one game, right? And I think he probably wouldn't. Because I think Tottenham probably will score at Anfield on Saturday. Yep. But I ain't moving it.
I think... there's not. How many people do you think bench boosting? Like, I don't think there's a huge amount of people bench boosting in the whole game this week.
I don't know the statistics, but in terms of the top end, a lot.
The top end, you think?
A lot. I think it's sort of 30-40% of probably the top 10k.
Wow. But that does still mean 60-70% are not. So bench
you've
boosters should be making gains.
Got a lot of free hits still going to be activated. Perhaps those with neither, perhaps triple captaincy still.
Yeah.
And I think Mo Salah's rest means
it's
going to be more difficult to go against him. He's going to be massive this week, having just had a break. As long as obviously he comes through the game unscathed tonight, I'll certainly be captaining Mo Salah.
Yeah.
So look, the one negative I had last week, it might prove, and it's a 3-week decision, right? I might get them points back with Mo over the next week or so. So
yeah,
I suppose there's a reluctance because I did want to go without Mo, but the one thing that kept nagging at me was coming up, was knowing that I wanted to captain him in 36.
Yeah. Let's talk about these games and rattle through and see where we're at, and if any of the results and performances have made any difference in decision making between now and the end of the season on any other considerations. Newcastle 0, Leicester. What am I talking about?
Do you want to start the podcast again?
Newcastle 0, Liverpool 1.
Nico, make sure you get the timestamp like early enough where he fucks it up as well. Gritty win for Liverpool, would say, but they had enough chances in the second half to take the game away. It was a brave selection. I mean, most of us saw that team selection and went, he's taking a risk there, isn't he?
Yeah.
But it's why he wanted to get the game moved, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was that short kind of turnaround.
Wednesday
he obviously wasn't happy about it. The physios and the doctors and stuff would have said, look, you've got orange flag players here, you're taking a risk if you play them, and that's why he would have left them out. That's how they work at Liverpool.
I mean, Dubravka still pops off with 9 saves.
But that's the point,
isn't it?
That's it. But it's full credit to Liverpool. I think they were a little bit more defensively secure than what they normally are. And it's interesting. Johnny Pringle made a really good point, our City correspondent, on Friday night, which is absolutely right. And it had been going through my head as well. Was obviously we're in a very similar situation to what the two teams were in going back to the end of the 18-19 season 3 years ago. And what happened in that run-in, actually, there was quite a few clean sheets knocking about for the two teams where your mental focus is massive, right? How many times we see City Liverpool concede late goals during the course of a season where they can't be asked at the end of a game and stuff? The mental focus at the moment is so important. And I do think there has to be, even for these two great teams, an element of fear in terms of knowing one costly mistake is going to hurt you and stuff. But Liverpool navigated this really well considering the team they picked. I mean, no Thiago, even no Fabinho. We focus on the FPL assets, but to take them out of the midfield, James Milner was great. Really good performance. He was crying at the end, weren't he? I think he probably realised that might have been his last start for Liverpool. You know what, James? You can come play for Tottenham for a year because I could do with a leader in midfield. Not bothered. For Newcastle, no major drama. It's obviously the first home defeat in a significant period. They've done really well to get themselves in a position to challenge for top half. I think in terms of Newcastle assets, I can only imagine you're possibly still sitting there with Bruno Guimaraes.
Some may have stuck with Chris Wood or whatever, because again, he didn't start, did he?
Or Chris Wood sitting on your bench. But you surely you're looking to move that now. There's several double game week. I mean, even like Wood to Pookie or Dennis or Nketiah.
Iheanacho or anyone.
Not Iheanacho, I wouldn't advise.
You think Vardy's ready?
I have no idea who's going to play for Leicester. You'll hear that on Clash of Correspondence on Thursday. No idea. Schmeichel will play twice, that's it.
Yeah.
But there's loads of ways you can go. And even in Guimaraes' case, you've got Ramsey, Gordon Dewsbury Hall
is the one.
Another one. Anthony Elanga, another return for United. Last night, we haven't spoken about that much. I think for Liverpool, the key one for the FPL guys is what I've already said. There's a fair chance Robertson's not going to play twice. But I have a sneaky that Shimikas might play tonight in Spain, actually. He might just chance it and go, if I can play Van Dijk, Konate and Trent inside of that back four with Shimikas at left back, he might go with it. He might even play someone left side in midfield, perhaps even a Curtis Jones tonight. Might give a little bit more support down that side or something. I don't know. But I would think if Robertson does play tonight, my instinct would be he doesn't play twice in the double. It's the Villa game he would sit out. And that's it. I'm not going to do anything with it.
No. I mean, Robertson's been so good since the turn of the year and a little bit longer as well.
In terms of guessing what others play twice, I think Matip, I guess, is in a situation at the moment where Konate's playing midweek, Matip's playing weekend. So similarly, could be Konate plays at Villa perhaps. That's also another thing that makes me think Robertson might get the break tonight, which I've obviously got my fingers crossed for. But Salah's obviously... You can't see him not playing twice now, can you? And I think the captaincy is going to be massive on him. Doesn't mean you have to go there. It's 3 weeks to go, right? If you're trying to chase someone and you know they're going to captain Mo Salah, it doesn't mean you can't captain Mo Salah because you may have differentials in the rest of your team. But if you think captaincy is as important as it's proven this week. I mean, everyone who's had a really good week has had Son captain, haven't they? Really. Then you should look elsewhere.
Yeah, I think Liverpool will be looking at the Spurs game as a real potential massive banana skin.
Yes.
I mean, you guys are good. You can hit them on the counter. And so I think that the intensity with which they approach the Manchester United game is the intensity and focus and energy that they'll need to approach you, which I think they will, because they're so close. Like it's games now until the end of the season. They can't afford to let it slip up. And if they do that, then they will win. But they've got to do that. It gives me confidence, actually. I trust Liverpool not to take you guys too lightly. So I'm still fine with my triple Liverpool.
No, I quite agree. I think Liverpool... Yeah, I'm still captaining Salah myself at the weekend.
Yeah.
I think if Tottenham can get through the opening period of the game, there is some danger to Liverpool. Because we even saw that in the opening stages of the second half when they hosted Everton, when Gordon kept getting away down the left-hand side. What weapon of Tottenham got down the left-hand side? Sonny in between Trent and Matip, if that's the combination, is the ball that Tottenham are going to be looking for. Tottenham have to navigate that early period of the game. If they do, then the panic is psychologically different, right? Because if the game happens in November, December, and Liverpool are obviously trying to beat Tottenham, but if it ends in a draw, it ends in a draw. Liverpool probably know if it ends in a draw at the weekend, that's it, it's finished. So it can create some interesting scenarios going into the weekend. And my team have proven from the Man City game a couple of months ago that actually we can cause some damage. Think of the problems we've spoken about with Tottenham recently in terms of actually playing through teams when they've actually got the ball. Actually, it's easier to do it against Liverpool than it is the likes of a Brighton or Brentford, actually, because of the way they obviously come at you. So I think we can have some joy at the weekend. I don't think I have jokes about it with you saying I think Tottenham will win at Anfield. I don't, but I don't think it's impossible.
No, agreed. Villa 2, Norwich 0. Are you happy with triple Villa?
Yeah, fine. I've got 2 weeks to go of 2 doubles, right? I'm not expecting a lot from them this week. Burnley are obviously have turned the corner, haven't they? But it also wouldn't surprise me if Villa went there and nicked their own kind of 1-0 at the weekend. They weren't brilliant on Saturday, from what I've heard. Norwich had a lot of the ball.
This is a tale of Norwich's season.
It is, probably.
Isn't it, really? Goodbye, Norwich, and we'll see you again a couple of years.
14 months, I suppose.
Exactly that.
They'd been playing, obviously, with Bailey in the team, with Coutinho behind Watkins the last couple. Now, Bailey went off injured, and Ings' first involvement was to smash that ball over the top for Watkins to score. Brilliant from Ings on the second goal as well, really, because I promise you 99% of players in that position will find themselves offside, and he's a spatial awareness in and around the penalty box to get onside is really, really good. So I think they'll probably go with that now. Bailey can't seem to keep himself fit.
No,
so
he's
probably got
problem.
Ings and Watkins playing together, which that will also give Liverpool another challenge, potentially. I think it's probably not good news for Watkins, Ings being back in, just purely because, particularly in a game like that against Liverpool, he'll really get asked to work the channels and stuff. I
remember them, like, Liverpool obviously are the best defensive team in the league, possibly, and when they played against us with the split forwards, Ings and Watkins, they weren't great with Coutinho in behind. Like, if you can stop the supply lines, they're not that threatening running the channels, Ings and Watkins, in my opinion.
No, but then you've got better space to do that against Liverpool than you would
More
against
space,
yourselves.
for sure.
Just because of how advanced the fullbacks will be and stuff.
Yeah.
So if you can bypass through the midfield, and in theory, if Villa play a diamond, they will have an extra man in there. But then they're also potentially leaving themselves very light against Liverpool's fullbacks, which is another reason why you'd really want Andy Robertson to play that particular fixture, I think. Villa have got themselves safe now, I think, probably 40 points. I think they'd have been nervously looking, actually, if they'd have lost this fixture at the weekend. Should be straightforward for them now. For Norwich, Pukki is still going to be under consideration. I still think he's a reasonable buy. Consider for Norwich as well that the 2 teams they've obviously got in the next week are the 2 teams have got European semi-finals on Thursday. So, I mean, it's almost impossible, even once you know the results, to know what the respective responses will be from West Ham and Leicester. But Pukki's still absolutely reasonable to have as a forward. Is that where you're going, or you've got?
I already own him, and I'm happy for Bench Boost to have him. He's ticked along.
Did you start him at the weekend?
No. Benched him at the weekend.
Is he going to be one of your weaker players?
Yeah.
As in part of the bench?
Yeah.
You're not going to shit house it now and put like Trent on the bench and shit like that?
No.
I'm not a fan of it.
No, we don't do things like that.
You are allowed to. It's fine.
Pookie's fine on the bench. Matty Cash coming in for me, which is fine. I just think I like Matty Cash because there is the odd potential for attacking returns as well as a potential clean sheet in there.
The one that
can stick around.
The few that would have thrown a few people off at the weekend in terms of our Villa setup defences. Callum Chambers came in for Ezri Konsa, so a few people, because I think a few people found themselves in a position where they couldn't afford to go to cash.
Yep.
And we're looking at Villa alternatives. So Konsa was one, as a few people obviously went for Tyrone Mings. Luca Dean, who was out for the rest of the season, is suddenly back in the team. I was under the impression his season was over. And then suddenly he's back in the team. So even when people don't own him, he's still trolling. I mean, Ashley Young owners, what's happened there? My advice would be, if you went in for Ashley Young in prep for last week and the bench boost, you've got to move it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you've got to move it because Luca Dean is obviously going to play. And now you could move it to Luca Dean if that's what you fancy. But I feel like, and you'll disagree with this, Suj, because of what you found. I understand why you're doing it, but I think the time to buy Villa was ideally last week. Because I don't think the double's great. I don't actually have massive expectation from my free Villa this week.
No.
It was a course of over the 3 weeks, really like 35, really like 37. They've got a double 36 as well. So, I mean, to be honest, what do I expect from Watkins this week? 4 points.
Yeah.
If I'm honest.
I'm literally, it's a 1 week pump because it's what I can afford on a bench boost. If people were in a different situation where they're trying to think for 2 or 3 weeks and have different budget issues, I don't think Matty Cash is the best defender you can get for that price right now, maybe in the game. But for my circumstances, so you're right. Yeah, if you were going to get Villa, last week would have definitely been better, and it's proven with the 2-0 win.
I just think there might be some better options because you're going for the 1 week, aren't you? I think there might be some better options.
Then Cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a look. Got 5.6 million. Got to have a double game week.
Yeah, you can't afford the City though, can you?
No.
I don't think Matip plays straight. It's not easy. There's not a lot there.
More, I can't get Matip because I've got 3 Liverpool already. So
well, I wouldn't go there at that point.
The only thing I could afford on City, I don't know what price Zinchenko is, but do you want a bit of that? No, thank you.
Nah, I mean, Aki was pretty good again at the weekend. He might have come off possibly with an injury at the end. I think for those who are just buying them without chips, like caution with Villa, because remember, they've got City away in 38 as well. So just make sure you don't...
If you're holding through, for
just
sure.
make sure you don't leave yourself with too much kind of Villa and Everton and a 38 problem, and possibly Leicester as well. Because we've said, like, if Leicester do win on Thursday night, their players ain't playing in 38, and that might even include Kasper Schmeichel as well.
Is the Conference League final after?
Yeah, it's the Wednesday after Gameweek
random.
38.
Why don't they put the Europa then in the conference before?
Well, why does the final day have to be a Sunday is a different question altogether as well, isn't it?
Okay.
But it is set up badly. I mean, to be honest, it's a joke, even from the perspective of the title race. If you get through on Thursday night, you've got to play Man City 3 days before your Europa League final.
Stupid. It's going to be kids. And yeah, it feels a real shame because it's also Noble's last home game. And so then you're going to play a weakened team for something like that. 90 minutes
running around after KDB getting nowhere near it.
I mean, to be fair, he played at the weekend. He played all right at the weekend, but I think it just feels like that occasion isn't going to be what it needs to be. But
I tweeted this at the weekend. I think the biggest game left in the title race is your game on Thursday night. Because if you go out, then it's your last home game. And I think it's proven you're still going to be fighting with United for 6th, probably, right? If you've gone out of the Europa League. So I think, yes, you can give City a game. If you go through on Thursday night, I literally cannot see City dropping a point.
Yeah.
And actually, the West Ham game goes from being City's hardest to City's easiest. And it really would be easiest. Like, I think even if you're challenging for 6th, there's no way he'll risk any of them big players 3 days for a European final when the goal of winning that actually gets you in the fucking Champions League, right? Yeah. So,
well, listen, there's a big game before then, so let's not worry about that now. Southampton.
It has to be relevant to people's thinking come Friday.
Of course. Southampton 1, Palace 2. Late comeback, late winning goal for Wilf Zaha. The thing with Southampton now is there's no real interest, is there, with no doubles coming up and better options in clubs with similar price players like Everton, Leicester, so on, Villa even, so on. But Palace, half an eye on them. we've talked about Zaha for free hitters in 37 or people looking for a double in 37. I'm going to go with Zaha, mainly because he's on the penalties as well. And my plan was always to add Conor Gallagher. But Eze's popped up with a return here, or Elise, one of them might be worth a punt. If you fancy a real differential that week, I mean, Elise or Eze.
I think Zaha will do that for you in itself, won't it?
Yeah. But my plan in that free hit in 37 is to go with 11 doublers.
Yeah.
As best as possible. And so adding, I'm not bothered about defensive Palace, and I'm not going to risk the roulette.
I'd go with Gahey or Anderson.
Yeah, maybe one, but I'm not going to risk the roulette with the strikers and Eduard Mateta and whoever else. No. I'd rather go with the midfielders, to be honest with you.
I think they're the one team. It doesn't work for you. I think they're the one team with a single this week that people can still look at. It's Watford at home this week. Then you've got the double 37. United at home in 38 shouldn't be particularly feared either. So their run-in's quite decent. Yes, admittedly, they have nothing to play for. And that victory, taking them up to 41 points, has certainly secured their safety in the league for another season. Not that anybody ever thought that Palace were particularly in trouble this year. I think Zaha will be very popular going into 37. It's my intended transfer, Suj, be it for Foden or whatever as and when it comes round. Yes, I intend to get Will Finn. He's the obvious one. I may look at defensive one, like I said, Gahey or Anderson. You know you're getting a double out of them.
Yep.
There's not a doubt about it. Gator, potentially.
I think I'm Pickford, mate, that week.
I agree, but then you might decide you want to go with something. We'll talk about some Everton players in a bit as well. I think Zaha will be extremely popular in 37. But that said, I think for most people who are going to go and buy at the time, rather than, and there will be a lot of people, I think most people free hitting will probably go with Wilf. And I think it'll probably just be that from Palace, I think, for most people. For those without the chips, I think the thing is when you get there, the priority may be to look at Everton or Villa players instead rather than Palace, because Palace have got the 2 away games, whereas Everton and Villa have got the 2 home games. Palace away from home, in my opinion, have not been as strong as obviously they are at Selhurst. That said, this was a good away win coming from behind, and it should be noted as well that obviously Zaha didn't start. Vieira's reasoning for that was that his recovery wasn't great from the Monday night fixture with Leeds, not in terms of he hadn't put the effort in, but it was quite a bruising encounter against Leeds last Monday. So there's no concerns about, Zaha lost his place or anything. No, of course not. He was just giving him a little break, little recovery, which I think adds to him coming up for the next couple of weeks as well. He's the one, isn't he? He's got the explosiveness that... Plus, as well, it's the end of the season, so you haven't got to look at it forever. How many times have we gone Wilfried Zaha because we've looked at a great run of Crystal Palace fixtures, and the problem is it's been like 8-9 game weeks, and it always seems to happen with Palace, and you go, shit, if I go Zaha now, I know he's there for 2 months.
This is the beauty of the end of the season.
Well, this is
Get
it.
rid of the bastard as quick as you get him.
Maximum 3 weeks, and actually, I tell you what, I think he'll do well in these 3 weeks. I wouldn't hate people investing in him this week. For those who are sitting there with a midfield singular that they don't want, I honestly don't hate it if people want to go and buy him this week. For Saints, I don't think you're looking at them in any shape.
I mean, Liverpool's the middle game of the last 3 that they've got left now.
Just really interestingly, though, as a point, and they've kind of tailed off a little bit. I mean, I think like Foster should have stayed Eze's shot. Eze not an option for me, Suj, by the way. They're on 40 points, which should be safe. And I think, cast your mind back 6-8 weeks ago, a lot of us were thinking sort of 35 points was probably going to be enough to stay up. It don't look like it now, does it?
No, I mean,
unless Leeds lose all their games.
Story. Yeah.
So, I mean, all 3 of those teams, Burnley, Leeds, Everton, I think are now capable of hitting that number.
40.
Yeah.
Yeah, agree. Definitely
Burnley
and Leeds.
I don't think they all will, but I think they're capable of it. And the reason I mention it is Southampton go to Brentford this weekend.
They're both on 40 points.
They're both on 40 points.
As are Villa.
Are you smelling what I'm smelling?
6-pointer?
Draw.
Not 9-0. to Brentford.
Look, I'm not saying that match fixing goes on, and I'm not saying that these two teams will contrive to it. But if they were playing in certain other European countries, you'd be getting your money on a 0-0, wouldn't you?
Yeah, or 1-1. Make it look a bit competitive. 1-1.
Just maybe bear that in mind. With a few people might have the sort of likes of Bednarek or Raya going into this weekend, that you might get away with it with the one game. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised that game finished 0-0. It suits both teams for it to be a draw, but I don't think those two teams can play that way that it would necessarily end that way.
No. Watford 1, Burnley 2 is effectively, basically, let's be honest, relegated Watford now, isn't it?
They're finished. They were finished
34 points, which would tie them with Leeds and Burnley, but they'll have to win all of their games and hope the goal difference swings in their favour for them to have any chance of staying up now.
Burnley, Leeds and Everton are losing all their games. It's not happening, is it?
Nah. So they are done and dusted. But Burnley came back from behind to get the 3 points and really start putting the pressure on Leeds and Everton to get something out of their results and stuff now. So, Burnley on fire.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing great, aren't they?
Yeah.
Can't believe it. We have a really good... I've already recorded Clash of Correspondence for Thursday with Aaron and Sean on Leicester and Everton, and we do have a bit of a laugh, basically saying that when Sean Dyche got sacked, we thought it was Everton's best result of the season. It's actually proved to be the worst. They've done really good. What they've done, I just think they've gone even more basic, I think, in the sense that there seems to be a little bit more freedom in terms of creative players. People look like Dwight McNeil, we've spoken about it the last couple of weeks, looks a little bit reinvigorated, it's got a bit more energy about him, looks a bit leaner, carrying the ball better. You're getting more people in the box. As proven, and to be honest, the goals that Burnley scored were still kind of Burnley goals, weren't they? Great cross from the left for Charlie Taylor. And the second one comes back from a layoff. I loved Brownhill's comment that he didn't think, he said to Vidra set, and he went, he doesn't normally do that. So I was quite surprised, but he's obviously finished it well. So got goals coming from different areas of the team. And you feel with them, there's a little bit of momentum. I just fear for them that they've had such a good run. If they don't have a good result on Saturday, that psychologically it might kill them a bit, because they'll be looking at it going, we've got 10 points in form, we're still not clear of this. And I worry for them if they don't get the right result against Villa on Saturday. And I'm not certain that they will, actually. They're still right bang in trouble. They're not clear of this. No way.
No, neither are Leeds, and it's a three-way
What race. Obviously really is important, if they do win on Saturday, they're then 3 points clear of Leeds, and with a far better goal difference, and Leeds have then got Arsenal and Chelsea. You would struggle to see Leeds getting more than a maximum of 3, probably. Well, you could get 4 if they could nick something at the Emirates, and if Chelsea go weak next Wednesday. So I think Saturday's really psychologically big for Burnley. And of course, they have a double in 37, the reverse fixture at Villa and then at Tottenham. It doesn't look like a great double, though, does it? I mean, you're free hit in 37. You intending to go with a Pope or punt a Cornet or a Veghorst? Or
why are you asking me the question I was about to ask you?
I think the answer would be no.
The answer is I want one, but I don't know which one. And it would be to allow, it would be if budget meant I wanted to go and find a cheap
If you're
one.
free hit and you're going for 11 doublers in 37, you ain't going to have a budget issue, are you?
No, that's the thing, because the teams that are doubling, Leicester, Villa, Everton and Chelsea, I can afford
spend
whoever I want to. So,
well, that's the point. You can have 9 doublers and go like Salah and De Bruyne, for example, or whatever you want, right?
I think that Tottenham away, Villa away are the type of games that will suit Burnley to just be awkward and be Burnley and make it difficult for you and make it difficult for Villa. You'll have something to play for, probably. Villa won't, and I think Burnley will get a result away at Villa, and they can nick a result against you. So I fancy Burnley in the double. If they need stuff in the double, I fancy them to get stuff in the double. You know that.
If Burnley come to Tottenham in Gameweek 37 and know that a draw will definitely keep them up, they'll get it.
Yeah, you feel it, don't you? That's why I fancy
12
them
o'clock
in
on a Sunday, Burnley. Oh, it's awful, mate.
I mean, there's a lot of football between now and then, and the relegation battle could swing quite a bit between now and then. So I'll make that decision closer to it. You're right, the likelihood is low that I'll end up with a Burnley player in that free hit. But if they need something and I fancy just Tarkovsky or something, I might punt one of them.
What do you do if you're without chips and you still got like a Weghorst or something?
Or I might punt Pope, because him
I
and
don't.
the saves.
Yeah.
He'll be
Honestly, I wouldn't mind that at all.
Mr. Elastic. What do you do if you've got a Weghorst?
Yeah, and you're without chips. Do you keep him, bench him this week, and then play him in the double 37?
He's one of those...
38 fixtures, okay. Newcastle at home.
This is a classic example of when you get a player in for a double game week and then ends up stinking out your team for weeks afterwards.
Leandro Trossard.
Yeah, oh, mate, fuck that guy. We've got to talk about him in a minute. And he ends up stinking out your team for weeks. It's a real difficult one.
I don't think Jackson fancies him. Well, he took him off as well when they were losing,
and
right?
Vidra, a goal and an assist in the last couple. I don't know if he's... Yeah, I don't think...
I think I'd want to, if you can, unless you're in a position where you're happy with sort of 11, 12 doublers already. I think like if you're sure, I'd be moving that to any of the other forwards that we've probably already mentioned at similar value.
Yep.
As better options for this week and probably the rest of the season. I think on Watford, Dennis, I think is still showing himself as a reasonable option. You've obviously got Suj. That wouldn't be where I was prioritising. I would actually rather go and buy Pookie than Dennis at this stage. I saw an image doing the rounds on Saturday night of Roy Hodgson wearing shades, and I thought, you Liberty piss taking, like this isn't a good look. Then I saw the footage of him on Match of the Day, and I felt terrible that I'd thought that because he looked really ill. It's quite sad actually that he's ended this way. I don't think it's not worked out for him and Watford. I wouldn't be surprised if there's an announcement this week. I've spoken about this. I don't think it's going to have a relevance on Ben Foster because Ben Foster played really well against Burnley at the weekend. He made some top saves, actually. So he's going to be sitting around for a lot of us on our bench boost. Don't expect anything from it, would be the advice. They've got Palace away, can't see anything. They've got Everton. I think Everton will go there and beat them next week as well.
Everton definitely, I think, will beat them. Based on what we saw yesterday.
You think this Watford's going to go and get anything at Palace?
No, yesterday, day before.
This is what I'm saying. I think Palace are decent this week as well. Watford are gone.
Yeah.
Defensively, they're atrocious.
Yeah. Wolves 0, Brighton 3. We're talking about Leandro Trossard. Since I sold him, he's played 4 games. He missed the City game.
You wouldn't have, even this weekend, you wouldn't have started him.
Points,
even this weekend. If you'd have
troll.
been sitting in your squad this week instead of, I don't know, player at similar value, would you have started him?
If he was still sitting in my squad, I wouldn't have an FPL podcast, mate. I deserve to be fired from this show. 34 points. And that's 3 goals and an assist in the last 4 weeks. I mean, Brighton had, prior to that, lost and drawn how much? The dropping points for fun.
Just blame Az anyway.
And I can blame you, Prats in North London, Arsenal and Spurs for playing Brighton back into form.
It's true.
Being useless week after week.
I think in fairness, Brighton played themselves back into form.
Yeah, of course, give the credit to them. Having said that, I think this whole game can be summed up by our 2 correspondents for Wolves and Brighton's banter with each other on Twitter, with Wolves saying, I think Bradley felt like Brighton probably haven't had an easier game all season, and Sam saying probably we haven't had an easier game all season. Yeah.
And then do you remember what I said to you Friday on the Patreon pod?
About this game?
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was going to be a 0-0.
Do you remember what I said?
It could be either way.
No.
I don't remember.
Do you listen to me when I talk sometimes? You're like my wife.
But this game's the most irrelevant.
I really like my wife. No, I tipped Brighton to win, and I said to you I wouldn't be surprised if they go big here. Because the Wolves are gone. Even you look at the statistics of the game, if you haven't seen a lot of it, 17 shots for Brighton, 9 on target. To Wolves is 1.
What's your views on this rumour now doing the rounds that Raul, Jimenez, Johnny, manager, bust up, that's why they're dropped and all sorts of not?
Smoke without fire, and yeah,
that piled onto nothing to play for and that kind of thing.
Yeah, really, no, I think they're gone. They're gone for this season.
Mentally, yeah.
This is why people...
They've had a good season, let's
Chelsea,
be honest.
Yeah, of course they have. Chelsea will beat them at the weekend. City and Liverpool will both beat them. What's the other game left? Norwich at home. They'll put on a show for the fans for the last home game or something probably. But they're gone. They're not interested. I think yes, there are rumours circulating of unrest between some of the more senior players, if you will, and manager. I think this goes back to, remember the really strange comments he made about Kai Hoover about not warming up, not being ready. It feels like it's since then their form has collapsed alarmingly. And it is interesting because if you'd have said to any Wolves fan at the start of the season, you're going to finish 8th, they'd have gone, that's great. What a brilliant season. But actually, when you look at it now, this depends where you sit with Wolves. Do you look at Wolves and you go, 4th best defensive record in the league? Or do you look at Wolves and go, right, they've scored 1 more than Watford, 2 less than Everton, 2 more than Burnley? I mean, which Wolves do you want to judge here? Because actually the big problem from over the last couple of years with Nuno was not finding a net, right? 33 goals in 34 games for a team that's been trying to challenge for Europe and was in a very strong position. You know, from the Patreon pods, we were getting wound up every week in February, weren't we? When are you going to talk about Wolves for Europe?
Yeah.
Well, oddly enough, we're not getting them questions anymore. I feel like if it's true the off-the-field stuff, he's probably your first manager for the sack starting next season, which is a shame. I quite like him, actually. But if it's clashed, then there's obviously a major problem. I wouldn't expect anything from them. And this is to go back to the Chelsea assets. I'd be very cautious. We think the majority of them will play Saturday and not play next Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
And actually, the Saturday at home to Wolves is the better fixture rather than Leeds away next Wednesday. If you've got Wolves assets, that's completely bin. They honestly could have lost this more than 3-0. I'm going to have a closer look at it mainly from a Brighton perspective for the advanced tiers on Talking Tactics this week. Brighton just completely outmanoeuvred them with basically a 3-4-2-1. Wolves have got no energy, no legs in their team. And Brighton, with the reintroduction of people like Casado, who I know Sam was really high on his performance, FPL Seagull at the weekend, Mwepu, Welbeck is fit at the moment. I always feel like, I've said this to you so many times about Welbeck when he played for England. I always liked Welbeck for England. He stretches teams. He links really well. Okay, his finishing's not the best, but he's a threat player who leads the line really well. Gives Brighton a presence which they don't really have with Maupay. Maupay's a scorer, isn't he? Welbeck can take the pressure and bring people into play. I wouldn't be surprised if Brighton win every game left. You know what they're like, right?
Yeah.
I would
Still not buy them.
They'll beat United on Saturday. I would think.
Leeds 0, City 4. Managed to watch most of this and really enjoyed it. I didn't feel 4-0.
City were really nervous for a period, yeah.
And Leeds were just going for it. They were just Leeds, like just attacking. Lacked that quality in the final third, but it felt like that eventually City just picked them off when they could. But it didn't feel like 4-0.
Oh, no way. 4-0 was mad harsh.
Yeah. Fernandinho's goal at the end is just consolation type stuff. But yeah, it felt harsh on Leeds. But then this is what happens with Leeds, right? They'll play well, go for it, and end up sometimes taking a tonking, which they did on the Bielsa quite often, but not quite often. It happened from time to time. But then you come off it and you think they didn't deserve it that badly. But yeah.
Do you know what? I might put it out for a poll, actually. And do you know what? By the time this has gone out, you've probably already heard it. I reckon if I put a poll out, who do people think will go down? I think more people say Leeds than Burnley or Everton right now. And I think it's because the fixtures. As you look at what Leeds have got left, it's obviously Arsenal away on Sunday, Chelsea next Wednesday, Brighton is the last home game. I've just kind of said what I said about Brighton. And then Brentford away last day as well. Them last two look winnable, and those other two teams probably got nothing to play for, but they're not easy games.
No.
They're really not. Brighton will come and beat anybody on their day. It's probably more about, are they going to have, Leeds will bring obviously intensity. Brentford away, last game, we spoke about this last week. Brentford's home results this year.
I mean, Chelsea might be the most likely to get a result because Chelsea are rested before the cup final.
Well, arguably yes. The thing is, I'd look at them and think they'll give Arsenal a game on Sunday, but I don't overly fancy them to score the goals. And that's the real problem, isn't it? At the end of the day, if they do end up going down, I think we'll reflect on it and go, that Bamford injury has cost them so badly. But as you said, they created chances at the weekend. And there was certain periods of the game where City just couldn't keep the ball. And it happens so rarely for Man City in these sort of games.
I'm sure at half-time it was 50-50, give or take, on possession, which that never happens with City.
But it's not that unusual for this sort of thing to happen against Leeds.
For Leeds, yeah.
I think in terms of Leeds assets, look, they've got a double. You're not investing, are you? I don't think.
No.
Do you look at Rafinha and go Arsenal and then the Chelsea game? I mean, might be up against Malang Sarr, for example, in the Chelsea game, and under strength for Chelsea. I think you could still look at Rafinha. But obviously people with like the likes of Gelhardt and Greenwood up front as well. But I wouldn't fancy their minutes. Obviously changed system at the weekend as well. It was a 5-4-1 set up. Rafinha ended up playing right wing back in the second half. But I think they'll change that back up, I think, for Arsenal at the weekend. I think they'll go back to a back four, which suits them better, but City are a unique case, aren't they? And they really did give City some problems.
They did. What's your views on City rotation? I mean, Cancelo obviously is owned by everybody. Then Laporte, De Bruyne, Foden. Foden alongside Coutinho ended up being flavour of the week for FPL Twitter last week.
I think
there's still risk of rotation.
Yeah,
isn't
of course
they
are. But I also think particularly the forward players, the spacing of the City games left is okay. So you've obviously got Madrid on Wednesday night, then it's Newcastle Sunday, then it's Wolves Wednesday, which I think is probably the one where you think, oh, could they rest a few maybe, or let's say rather than rest, rotate. Then it's West Ham on the Sunday, then a final week before Villa on the final Sunday. So their spacing's quite good. You would be surprised right now if De Bruyne didn't start every game left, wouldn't you?
Yep.
I feel that way about Foden now. I mean, he was excellent. I thought the two centre-backs dealt with the pressure really well during the game as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Diaz stays in now with Laporte. What price is Diaz? 6-1 is he?
Yeah, 6-1 and Laporte is 6 million.
Yeah, I think that probably stays as a partnership for the rest of the season now. Cancelo, I see no reason why he won't stay in the team. We don't have the information at time of recording in terms of what Cole Walker's status is. But I think the preferential, if Walker's still going to be out for a while and John Stones going to be out for a while, will be leave Cancelo on the right and play Aki at left back. As you know, he's not a player I'm a huge fan of, but actually, every time I've watched him recently, he's been better and better, actually. And Leeds had more problems. City had more problems on that side against Leeds after he went off as well. So, what price is Aki?
Aki, I didn't check. I was looking at Zinchenko at 5.3, James, but I will pull Aki. Well, he played the game before last. Like, you'd get one game out of him in the double, you don't think?
Yeah, but you don't want one game at the moment, do you? Want two?
No, yeah, true. But would you rather one game of Zinchenko or 2 games of cash?
I think there's every chance that he'll keep clean sheets in both games this week.
Aki's 4.7.
I actually think Cancelo is a real, for those who want to go against Mo this week. I think De Bruyne and Cancelo are the two to really consider going with to go against him. I think Cancelo's the standout of the defensive premiums, if you will, if you want to captain one of them. I think they could keep back-to-back clean sheets. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if City didn't concede a goal again this season.
Yeah, I would be, because there's 4 games football they're likely to. But
I wouldn't be surprised to win every game left like 1 or 2-0.
They're in real focus mode at the moment, no doubt about it. Everton 1, Chelsea 0. This is the stat-busting game of all games. I switched this on at 55 minutes, I would say, just before Jordan Pickford pulled out his heroics. I bought him in Sky Fantasy Football that day, and I thought, if he, after seeing those 2 saves, if he goes on to keep a clean sheet here, that's man of the match in the bag, isn't it, surely? But Everton, despite Chelsea's dominance and possession, you just felt they had the fight and desire to want to win it. Like, no one's saying they didn't deserve the points there just because of sheer effort, and you're kind of almost getting sucked into willing them on to battle. To I'm no dog in the fight really. I like Everton, they're a decent team, but I really got sucked into willing them on, even though I own 3 Chelsea players, to get it over the line when they were being dominated from a possession point of view. Dominated.
Oh, Chelsea had over 80% second half.
Mental.
But then you'd expect that, particularly as Everton scored first minute, second half.
But Richarlison bit between his teeth. He obviously came off.
How was it Spurs?
But I don't think it didn't look like he was injured enough that he's going to miss any more games, and they definitely need him. But he did come off with what looked like a knock.
I've tired. It's probably more the case. Could he be in for a suspension for the flare throwing? Which, no, I'm in agreement with you. I don't think
so.
We seem to wipe the whole Ronaldo smashing the phone out of the kid's hand under the carpet. So I think this will disappear as well, I should imagine. That's a bit double standards if he gets... And he really shouldn't have done what he done. But there's a video knocking about where Evertonians are saying that he threw it at the church, was trying to throw it out the ground and stuff. And the church is in the corner of the ground, and supposedly it hit the wall, was nowhere near any Everton fans. He shouldn't have done it. It's dumb.
No.
But I also don't think he should get a suspension either. I think it would be a real shame. I think that, to be honest, I think if he does get suspended, I think it'd be fucked. Because I was in the ground at Spurs, and I heard a kid behind me say, "Everton are winning." And I had enough time in my brain to process Richarlison scored. Before I heard the kids say Richarlison, and I feel like in their big moments he's their man.
Oh, he is.
And I think he's the go-to forward for the next 2 weeks.
I think in the last 15 minutes or so as well, Gordon as an outlet for counter-attacking.
Well, he was brilliant for that.
Was
at Anfield.
Fantastic. Predominantly on the left-hand side. I don't know, in my mind, I've always got Gordon down as a midfield workhorse type player, but he was very skillful and caused some problems down Chelsea's left as a counter-attacking outlet for the ball after Richarlison went off. I was really impressed with Gordon with that in mind as well. And the rest of the team, I mean, Pickford jumping up and down like a jack-in-the-box madman, but they had the bit between their teeth, did Everton. They need, if they show that level of fight between now and the end of the season with all their home games, then they're in with the chance of staying up, even though I know a lot of Evertonians feel like they're still going to need to get 3 wins out of 5 and it's still going to be tough. They can do it.
The problem is those, and we discussed this on COTC later in the week, the pressure of those 2 home games, Brentford and Palace, is very different. Just because Everton beat Chelsea doesn't mean they beat those 2 teams.
Right.
They're completely different.
It's easier to get up
Palace
for that game,
are
isn't
a really dangerous counter-attacking team. Brentford have shown they've got obvious quality this season as well. And then there's the expectation is different. Whereas the whole crowd goes to the game yesterday thinking, "Oh my God, we're playing the European champions. Got to go and give it everything, right?" You leave yourself out there. Different games to come. Like, I think they need to win at Watford next Wednesday, really, for example. I think you just got to look at that fixture and target it. Like when Burnley equalised at the weekend, they sensed the opportunity was there to win the game. I think Everton have to do the same next midweek. The fixture against Leicester on Sunday is really awkward in terms of trying to predict it, because at least until we get to the end of Thursday, we don't even know where Leicester's priorities lie. As Aaron discusses on COTC, if they have a bad result, could he want them to play again to clear their heads and stuff? Or could he look at it and go, right, it's kind of first team midweek and second team weekend at the moment, a little bit like kind of, we've discussed kind of Matip, Kanate rotations and stuff. So that makes that a really difficult one to predict at the weekend, but they can also therefore get the result and win it. There's one Everton asset I want to speak about, and COTC is worth listening to just to hear the conversation on him. Mason Holgate.
What is he, 4.3, 4.2?
He's 4.2.
Okay.
I wouldn't say he's first choice, because I think Godfrey and Mina is first choice. But Sean's of the opinion that Mina probably won't be able to play all 4 games over the game weeks 36 and 37 that kind of fall within that 11-day period or so. He also thinks Seamus Coleman will probably struggle to play all 4 as well, although Coleman has started every game and 90 minutes in all of them for every game that he's been available for Lampard. So again, for someone like you who's free hitting in 37, do you go Coleman or Holgate? I think you go Coleman. But I think that for a certain amount of people who are potentially looking at a real enabler for this coming week, particularly, even more so than 37, and perhaps thinking about a bench boost, and it might enable you something that gets you from, bad example, but Foden's price range nearer to Son or De Bruyne's, for example, then he might be the facilitator. I think the news on Ben Godfrey, if it comes out this week, Godfrey's out for the rest of the season, then I think Holgate plays every game left. And I think that's quite interesting at 4.2.
Yep.
But Holgate's got favouritism over Michael Keane. We knew that from the fact Keane was left out originally for the Liverpool game. It was going to be Holgate and Godfrey. And obviously Mina was rested. Mina's now back. So Holgate's been preferred as the potential partner for Godfrey and Mina. It means Michael Keane essentially is 4th choice. It also means Michael Keane's probably the one that will go off in the doubles. But I think Michael Keane's the fourth choice there. So Holgate 4.2 might be the one that enables. I think for free hitters like you, Suj, it would be a bad buy. You'd be better off looking at somewhere else. And I think free hitters will end up with Pickford anyway.
Yeah.
But I think for those running through, consider Gordon, great option. For Chelsea, you're in no buy zone now, but I really think have a second consideration about definitely moving these on. I think the offensive players are easy to move on. I think the Havertz, the Mounts, and the Werners, I think you'll feel obliged to want to move them on. The defensive players, I think particularly Alonso and James, I cannot see Wolves scoring goals at the moment. So there's every chance that's the clean sheet. You get the attack and return, is every chance it's 12-15. I think James, Alonso are potentially tough sells. I think the offensive players I'd move on.
Let's talk about Spurs 3, Leicester 1. You seem to want everyone else to do you favours. Well, Leicester did with their lineup.
It's true.
Pretty crap, isn't it, really? I mean, if I saw that, Amati and Soyuncu, Mendy, Samari, or Brighton, they're not bad, but you'd expect to roll them over with the firepower that you have, and having had the game on Thursday.
Here's the difference, though, right? So I was getting off the train when I saw the team, and there was a few others looking at the Leicester team, and it was like, oh, good, they've rested most of the team. And there's me looking at it going, oh, fuck, I think that's a back five, and seeing the problem going, oh, no. And to be honest with you, the first half was pretty even. Lloris made a brilliant save from Daka, who didn't hit it well, but it was going right in the corner and he just got fingers to it. So they had moments in the game as well. There was a 10-15 minute period in the first half where we were really, really sloppy. Just couldn't get the ball in terms of territorial advantage or anything, and they were a trouble, and it gave them some confidence. I see there you were just looking at statistics of the game, like they had 60% of the ball and stuff. It's not a surprise. Tottenham are a team, unfortunately, at the moment that are better suited to not having the ball.
Hit on the counter.
That's the reality. And it must be said, one of the things we've highlighted recently is the difficulty Tottenham had, particularly, especially in the Brighton game and then the Brentford game, in terms of trying to create chances. It wasn't a problem on Sunday. And I suspected it wouldn't be a problem on Sunday because, obviously, Mendy is a decent player, but I don't think he's positionally switched on as much as Janelt was the week before, and Bissouma was unbelievably good at Tottenham 2 weeks before that. So Kane was finding more space. He had a lot of touches in the first 15-20 minutes. I don't think he controlled any of them. Honestly, he started the game really badly, Harry Kane. One of the more interesting statistics from the weekend, Suj, is Harry Kane's XG being higher than Heung-Min Son's. I'm sure that's not gone unnoticed. Sonny is one of the best finishers on the planet. He is regularly going to outperform XG.
Always does.
It was a deserved victory. I think the note is that if Leicester pick a similar team against Everton, for example, on Sunday, that Leicester team could still beat Everton on Sunday, is my point that I kind of want to highlight. That Leicester weren't bad or terrible.
Right.
So we deserved to win. And the important stage of the game was before and after the second goal, when Kulusevski come on, changed the game.
So
he was phenomenal.
The FPL question, I mean, forget the Kane and Son and all of that nonsense, because people can do what they like. Because if you sell Son this week, or sell Kane for Son, Kane's going off, and you got to take the rough with the smooth. But Kula definitely comes back in for people. Just hold. Yeah. So that's a straightforward one. And we know Reggie's out, so Sessegnon at left back, we always get.
We don't know that Reguilón's out.
But Sessegnon, you think's sticking in there for now?
I would guess so by default, but I think it's a dangerous one. Like, you're looking for something, right? I wouldn't recommend Ryan Sessegnon.
No, we're not going near Spurs. With Liverpool and Arsenal, no way.
At the end of the day, he's a left wing back. And there's an upside to it. He's dirt cheap. If Reguilón's out for the rest of the season, Sessegnon probably does play the remaining games. And ironically, probably 37 and 38 are probably more interesting than actually the double. In 36. You're certainly not expecting a clean sheet at Anfield on Saturday, are you?
No.
So, yes, he can be looked at. Honestly, I would prefer you to go and buy Ben Davies. Ben Davies is more of a threat at set pieces and actually the underlapping runs. Sessegnon has no self-belief in his own ability. And he does have ability. He's got no self-belief in it. Once he hits the edge unless he gets right to the byline, he wants to come inside all the time. And he doesn't, this is a credit to Doherty. One of Doherty's real strengths I've spoken about, is even when he was terrible for us, is his movement off the ball. Like, he'll lay it off and he'll go in behind. Sessegnon just doesn't do it in the same way.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're getting him in with expectation of attacking returns, I don't think they'll be there.
No.
They might be in the last couple. I think he's an interesting one for 37, 38 for those who kind of need an enabler for the end, perhaps to... So I would consider him for a free hit in 38, away to Norwich, and go, yeah, well, I think he starts this weekend. Great. It's Norwich. Yeah, great. And that enables to go with more expensive stuff elsewhere, and you can start him. Other than that, not overly interested. For security, I'd rather you went with Ben Davis. And I actually think Davis is just as likely to get an attacking return as Sessegnon at the moment. Christian Romero, absolutely brilliant. Outstanding. Had one of them 9 out of 10 games. The double tackle for the second goal is game defining. And as I said, Kulusevski around that period when he came on changed the game. Lucas Moura, I don't want to say blew his opportunity, but he blew his opportunity.
Yeah.
He didn't play well.
West Ham 1, Arsenal 2. Did you get home in time to watch it, or were you still
Can I be honest with you?
in the pub?
I went straight home, and I got home and there was about half hour gone or so. And even when I got in, she said, "Do you want to watch it?" And I said, "I don't know." It was like that. Literally turned it on and Arsenal scored. And she was like, "You shouldn't have done that." I was like, "Yeah, thanks, babe. Not now, yeah." Arsenal were deserving winners. I don't
agree with that at all.
You don't agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that at all. A few people have said they probably deserved to win. I didn't feel that at all, to be honest with you. The first half, definitely, I thought we played much better than them. We kept the ball much better. Our build-up play was better. Tell me the chances they had in the first half that were particularly better.
Tell me what you did after they went in front.
That's true. In the sense of, in the final third, I think we were lacking. And that's been a problem a lot this season when we don't play Antonio. It's like, if you have a front 3 or 4 of Lanzini, Benrahma, Bowen and Fornals, they're all too similar. You need a striker rather than attacking midfielders, wide players. But I just didn't feel, in the first half, I didn't think Arsenal's build-up play or passing or anything was particularly good. We didn't feel massively threatened by them at all. We conceded 2 goals. One from a set piece and one again from a set piece where he's got in at the back post.
Ryan Fredericks at left back.
Agreed. So think about it. We've conceded 2 goals from set pieces where we don't have a centre back. We have Aaron Creswell playing at centre back. So if we had a Dawson in at 2 centre backs in, whether or not we concede 2 headed goals from set pieces, I don't think we would necessarily. I think we deserve a draw. I wouldn't go so far as to say we deserve to win the game, because you're right. In the second half, I don't think we created enough chances. I saw a stat that Eddie Nketiah had more shots
than West Ham, probably.
Than Lacazette in the previous 9 games.
That don't surprise me. I thought he was extremely good, Nketiah.
Oh, shite, mate. Every time in the second half...
What, just because he's not scored?
Nah, in the second half, every time... Shite is a bit harsh, I'll be honest with you. But when the Arsenal had chances on the counter in the second half, right? Every time Eddie Nketiah got the ball, attacking the edge of our box, I was shouting shoot. Because every time he shot from the edge of the box, he's either hitting the keeper or he's missing.
Man, on a different day, he could have got a hat-trick.
Yeah, no, he can't, because he can't shoot.
Nah, nonsense, Suj.
He had a chance in the first half at the edge of the box.
Yeah,
he had a clear opportunity to
tipped
score.
it wide.
No, it was a low save to his left.
So Fabianski didn't tip it wide.
He's got to do better than that.
This is definitely a clipped
argument.
He's
got to do better than that. I think Nketiah...
I can't believe I'm defending, but I thought he was brilliant.
I think he works hard, but his finishing was not enough to ever think. I'm like, if Eddie Nketiah gets the ball in and around the edge of the box, have a shot, mate, all day long. Because he's not going to score, mate.
But in the second half, he had another one which Fabianski tipped round and he hit it quite well from about 20 yards. And he had another one he'd hit where he beat Fabianski and it was like a yard wide.
Yeah, but he missed, didn't he?
Yeah, but
every time he's in and around, you don't feel like he's going to score.
If you look at highest XG players from the weekend, and Nketiah's nowhere near that list.
No, exactly.
He had loads of efforts. They were small chances.
I'm happy. Like if the stat is Eddie Nketiah had more shots on target, I'm fine with that, because I'm happy for that guy to shoot from 20-25 yards out. I don't think he's got the ability to be a Premier League finisher.
He's a goal scorer. He's in the box.
He's not.
Those chances he had at the end of the game,
he's
basically attacking you by himself.
Agreed. But
So
he's got to do
no
better.
choice.
He's got to do better.
Really?
With his
Harsh,
quality
man.
of his shooting is not good enough.
Yeah, this is the Tottenham guy defending the Arsenal.
Quality of his shooting is not good enough. That's what I'm saying. I think he needs to be hitting the target or doing better with his finishing.
He'll score against Leeds at the weekend.
And well, is he going to play against Leeds at the weekend?
100%.
That's the question.
100%. I'll tell you what he proved to me yesterday as well in terms of, and we had a good discussion about it on COTC last week with 3-5 Who. Adam was of the opinion that he thought that there was every chance Lacazette would come back in for the Tottenham game. That ain't happening.
Wow, I watched that game and I think Lacazette's coming back into the team at some point. But
They didn't even bring Lacazette on.
I understand.
And Ketcher's hold-up at the end of the game, I was surprisingly impressed with how good his hold-up play was to take pressure off the team in the second half.
I wasn't impressed with Arsenal particularly, but they did get the job done. They obviously didn't have Ben White playing.
Bruv, you didn't have a shot on target in the second half.
Agreed.
We
didn't create enough clear-cut chances. But also, look at it, like, I think we're now really seeing the issues with West Ham in terms of depth, right? No Antonio, no Souček, no central defender, and then Ryan Fredericks having to drop in and play it. We don't have the ability to then break teams down. And the other thing is we don't then have anyone
Ryan
off the bench that can change it, right? So it is definitely a problem. Obviously, all eyes are on Thursday, so that will dictate what happens with West Ham for the rest of the season. Regardless, you're probably not buying. What's the story of Ben White?
But by the way, it's not a criticism of West Ham's effort or anything.
No, I thought we played fine. Noble, I thought, had a great game.
There was no lack of effort
the ball around,
from that perspective.
Dad's Army at 35.
I just think they once they went in front, they set up to counter you and did it really well and really comfortably. I think yes, first half was an even game, and I think you're fine. I'm not sitting here digging you out because I didn't think you put the effort in. That's not the case. It's more I'm saying I think that Arsenal were deserving winners, and I think they could have won by more actually. If Nketiah had taken his chance.
And I'm not saying West Ham should have won. I think a draw based on the first half was probably fair, but we have a problem of not creating enough, especially when we just play with attacking midfielders as the strike force and not have a focal point up top. That's definitely a problem. Ben White, we know if he's going to be back?
No, we don't. And I saw interest in one of our patrons was having this, I won't name it, was having this discussion about replacement for Ben White if he's out. Looking at it going, well, Rob Holding's 4.1. I don't know what there is to think about. It's not like it's long term for the rest of the season. In fact, you probably only want it for 36. So, I mean, if Ben White is to be ruled out for a couple of weeks and we don't know what the situation is, then, I mean, Rob Holding at 4.1, why do you need to look elsewhere?
No.
Arsenal are capable of back-to-back clean sheets in this double. It would be a surprise, but they're capable of it. I mean, what's to say they can't beat Leeds 1 or 2-0 and then go to Tottenham and get a 0-0.
Yeah.
Particularly if the gap's 5 points, Arsenal will set up to say to Tottenham, what have you got? And it could be a problematic game for Tottenham. You have to bear that in mind for that big game next Thursday. Arsenal, in theory, should be 5 points clear, right?
Yeah.
And then Arsenal go into it knowing a draw is absolutely fine. And both Arsenal and Tottenham will want each other to have the ball in that game. Tottenham want to counter. Arsenal want to counter. It's where the two teams are at their best at the moment. So if Arsenal got that advantage, they're setting up to say, well, we walk out of here with a 0-0.
Is this passing tier points in Sky galore from the defenders in that game, potentially?
It potentially actually could be for people like Romero and Dyer, actually, if that's the way that game goes. But there's games to navigate the week. I don't think it's, as I said, I don't think it's impossible for us to get something at Anfield at the weekend. But you have to think Arsenal are going to be in a really comfortable position going into that game next Thursday. And I think that means the defensive assets are fine. Tomiyasu's obviously back in as well. If you've got the money,
played well as well.
4.5, his first choice. It was only fatigue for both him and Saka in terms of why they've come off. It's nice to see that Saka's finally had that yellow flag removed. That was ridiculous. Honestly, yellow flagged all week. There was nothing wrong with him. So, obviously, Saka's a great option if you don't have and you want to go in, but most other people have got him. I think the defensive guys from Arsenal, particularly, I honestly think Rob Holding's so straightforward if White's out. I think for you, what's your other transfer you're doing?
Goalkeeper.
Were you going Schmeichel? Mm-hmm. If you go Holding, can you look at -4, something else that improves it? Like, I don't know, Ollie Watkins
Holding is
or
a
something like
-4. So then it's a -8.
So who are you selling, sorry?
Ben Johnson.
And De Gea. So who you going cash?
Kasper Schmeichel. And cash.
Yeah, but if you go holding, you've got...
But if I'm going to go Arsenal, I may as well go Gabriel.
Why?
Because I can afford to. But I can afford Gabriel. So now you're saying
No,
holding and then use
my-
the money elsewhere to get someone even better.
My point is, if you look at holding, then what have you got in the bank? Can you improve something else in your squad for a -4?
I could get Edison instead of Schmeichel.
Well, consider that.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad shout because we have talked about City keeping clean. And Edison will play.
Edison will get 12 points. Schmeichel will concede in both games and get 13 with a penalty save.
No assist for Edison this time round? Maybe not. Do you want to wrap up the Manchester United-Brentford game? Because I'll be honest with you, from a fantasy point of view now, both these teams, done and dusted, washed our hands of it. But we thought United would have a tougher time than they did in the end. Right?
Tony, reasonable to the end of the season if you've still got them, particularly if you're not bench boosting and stuff like that. It's absolutely fine. The caution is, as I said, Brentford and Southampton may look at each other at the weekend and go, yeah, we'll take a draw here, thanks, just to be on the safe side. Ronaldo was really good last night, has to be said. It was great. Goal from Bruno Fernandes, apparently trolling me. How's he trolling me? There's no way he was staying. Yeah. It's not like, players like that can return at any time, right?
If when people ask us questions sometimes in Q&As, who are 3 people you'd like to have dinner with? Bruno Fernandes, Leandro Trossard, and who else should we have in? Fucking Sonny.
Straightforward for United. The old guard played quite well last night. This is more about what's happening with them next. I'll be honest.
Someone sent a question. What are your thoughts on Bruno Fernandes? Wanker,
yeah. I think they'll get beat at Brighton at the weekend. I think they're disinterested. I still think you could finish 6th, Suj. If you've got Ronaldo now at this stage, still, and some will, it was not a lot, or Bruno Fernandes still goes now, surely. I can understand it maybe stayed for the Brentford game. Anything you've got now, go. Like, you've got no thoughts of keeping De Gea for this week, have you?
Nope.
But if you didn't have the bench boost, maybe just sit there, would he?
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got Ronaldo or Fernandes, too much money, isn't it? It goes, surely. No fixture in 37 as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you're free hitting 37, could you make a case to keep him? I don't think you could.
I think United are done.
Yeah, no interest in Brentford now either.
No. Unfortunately, not.
Not their best night. Interesting to play the back 3 again, which is not great for Tony. Hopefully for him, they'll change back to a back 4 at the weekend.
Yeah. Good. Let's rattle through some questions that we've had on Twitter. But before we do, give everybody a rundown of what we've got to look forward to for the rest of the week.
Oh, if I can remember. Sky Fantasy tomorrow. Suj is trying to win a console, which started really well for him.
They're still going well.
Not so good on Monday, but we'll talk about that. He's got a plan.
There's
Unbelievably,
Suj
has a plan.
Don't worry about it. There's 25 points in it.
Thursday's clash of correspondence, as already alluded to, is Leicester versus Everton with Aaron Lager and Sean Norton. I think that's a really good podcast. If you're looking for the answers that's going to tell you which Leicester players are going to play twice, the answer is still just Kasper Schmeichel. I'll spoil that for you. I'll be streaming on Friday. Our Patreon pods this week include today... look at Champions League semi-finals second legs, talk a bit about City Madrid first leg, talk a bit about Carlo Ancelotti on that pod, and also the idea of semi-final one-off games rather than 2 legs. Suj is being muted. We're going to discuss that a little bit. Patreon pod tomorrow will be Tottenham. We're probably going to argue about Eddie and Ketcher a bit more, I think. Thursday is our Q&A this week, and we'll have our Game Week 36 preview show on Friday. Suj, sell Patreon.
Patreon.com/Planet FPL. It's the start of the month, so it's the perfect time to join. If you wanted to get all of the content for the next 3 weeks,
and if you sign up now, we promise you June free as well. Yeah, well, we won't be doing any content in June because we're taking it off, but we'll be back with the pre-season in July and the end of the second 2 weeks of May, when the season will be pretty much all the last 10 days or so. Will be a whole lot of season wrap-up content and a little bit of fun and some different stuff in there as well. So why not join for the last month of the season if you want to head over to Patreon.com. Come and support the show. /Planet FPL, indeed. Quite a few questions not a huge amount of questions on Twitter, James, but none of them are particularly
new that we haven't covered off, but we will talk about a few of them.
Go on.
Joe has 7.4 million to buy a midfielder.
Just Joe.
Amrabat man. He wants someone not called Bukayo Saka, under 7.4 million, worth transferring in for a hit for Mason Mount. Would allow him to go from Sterling to KDB and free hit 37 if he does it. So, under 7.4 million, Kulu?
He said not Saka, didn't he?
Yeah, so Kulu?
I don't know. What's your expectations from Liverpool and Arsenal?
From Kulusevski, an assist. Like, if I get 4 points plus an assist, 7 over the 2, I'll be happy, mate.
You know, obviously a lot's been made about Kane and Son's goal combination. Obviously another one on Sunday. So Kane has assisted Son for 5 goals this season. That direct one, Kane to Son. There's only ever one combination that's directly one to another player 5 times this season. You know what it is?
Kulu to Son.
Yeah. It's Kulusevski to Son, yeah. Incredible. Look, Decky's a reasonable choice, or you come right down to the likes of Anthony Gordon or so. Coutinho,
maybe.
Gone. Alex
Harry.
Iwobi, jokes. But he did a real job for the team on Sunday at right wing back.
Yeah. Harry, FPL_Harry, the artist formerly known as FPL Tips, wants to know who goes down and who gets top 4. I think top 4, I'm still going to tip Arsenal just, but it's
they're in
go
pole
to the
position.
wire. Who goes down? I don't even know.
Watford and Norwich. Next question.
Who goes down, James? I don't even know. I think it could be any of the 3. I honestly think it could be any of the 3.
Yeah, it really is difficult to say. I think if Leeds don't score goals, they're in trouble. Which is, I mean, that's obvious for any of the teams down there, but I think you know what I mean. They're struggling to find the net regularly now. And with the next couple coming up, I also don't think Leeds' last 2 fixtures are clever, Brighton and Brentford. It might be Leeds.
Chris wants to know if you had to pick Son or Kane for the rest of the season, FPL, who would you pick? Sonny, surely. Yeah.
By a distance.
Yeah, agreed.
He's much better for this week as well, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree with you more.
If Tottenham do have joy at Anfield on Saturday, it's going to be Sonny, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Tomiyasu's not a good matchup for him in the midweek fixture afterwards. So,
talking about matchups, what's the biggest mismatch on Sunday? Saka versus Firpo or Rafinha versus Tavares? I'm going to go Rafinha versus Tavares because Tavares was not good.
Firpo is awful.
Tavares any better? Come on.
I think he is, yeah.
I don't think he was up to much at all.
He's terrible. Sorry.
All of them.
Is he Portuguese? Nico's laughing. Is he
Tavares.
Portuguese?
Who? Firpo? Junior Firpo?
Is he Portuguese?
Not Firpo, no.
No. Tavares is. So we can't offend Tavares. Does that upset you? Right. No, to be honest, yeah, Tavares will push Rafinha back there. Firpo, even when Leeds were doing all right on Saturday, it was like, oh God, he's a weak link. And I'd completely forgotten. Obviously, Stuart Dallas obviously had a bad injury. But Firpo's going to stay in the team, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's not good. That's really not good.
Velen wants to know what your thoughts are on Martinelli, James. Is it worth shifting him to Gordon and then upgrading another bench spot for a -4? Or is he fine as an option for bench boost?
Do you know
for 36?
what? Fair play to you, because you were quite adamant on Friday when we were discussing it that you thought he would come back in, and I was like, I don't think he will, and he did. And you've got him, haven't you? So
and I think he played okay as well, actually. I think he was pretty good on Sunday. And I'm confident keeping Martinelli for these 2 games. Leeds, you need to stretch Leeds, right? You're going end to end. Martinelli's got pace and he's got legs. So I don't mind Martinelli against Leeds and Spurs. I mean, that's a 0-0 written all over it. So do what you will. But I don't. I'm going to keep Martinelli.
I think
I'm going to keep Martinelli. I don't think particularly going to Gordon for Martinelli is worth it. I don't think Gordon outscores Martinelli in the double. I don't know where you're going to upgrade elsewhere on the bench, but it's only giving you 0.7.
I think if you think Martinelli plays against Leeds, you leave that.
Yeah, I do, personally. I think he put in a good enough performance. I didn't see anything that warranted being dropped.
No, but then it was. I was surprised when I saw him back in the team.
Yeah, I know
Could
you
be.
said
It
on
could be a
the
correlation,
show.
although they're kind of the two furthest away from each other. It possibly is a little bit of correlation with Tomiyasu's return. We've spoken about this before. Arsenal's left-sided bias when Tomiyasu's back in the team, so him kind of holding higher and wider. It actually might be linked to Tomiyasu.
Yeah. Tomiyasu played well. Martinelli played
He's
well.
solid,
as well.
lads, to be fair.
Yeah, very good. Last question of the show, James. We're going to do a food question because there is a spin-off show one day in the future. Planet FPL does food. Skinny fries, thick cut chips, skin on fries, both options, or sweet potato fries. Skinny fries for me because I like the crunch.
What happened to chunky chips?
That's the thick cut chips, isn't it?
I've told you this before.
Skinny fries.
Depends what mood I'm in. So like, I would want fish and chip shop chips.
With vinegar,
Like,
you've got to go with the thick cut.
Yeah.
So the vinegar soaks in.
If I'm pissed, I don't really want them. I want the shitty kebab chips.
Yeah, crispy.
When I'm pissed.
Yeah.
And I know this shit, and that's what I want. It's psychological.
I like skinny because you whack the salt on and they're crunchy. But thick cut chips, if you have to soak them in vinegar, and yeah,
sweet potato is generally more expensive, isn't it? I always see that. Upgrade your fries to sweet potato fries for £1.50 or something. I think, why am I doing that?
What for?
Who does that?
Less enjoyment. To be healthier. Right, that is it for this episode of Planet FPL. As James said, back tomorrow with Sky Fantasy Football. I know it's going to be a bit disorienting this week with the Bank Holiday Monday and the days of the week, but we'll be back to it like Monday. Tomorrow with Sky Fantasy Football. We're definitely going to have some fun on that. And Thursday, Clash of the Correspondents. Friday.
It's a good one. I think you'll enjoy it. There's a lot of banter in there. It's good fun.
Good. Listeners, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had a great weekend. Stay safe, look after yourselves, and see you tomorrow. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Be nice to each other. Play it your way. Cue music, please, man child.